Okay, welcome in for another Friday morning safety meeting. Welcome in. This week's code of conduct is to work in an environmental conscientious manner. It's a really good reminder to making sure we have adequate spill kits on our sites. Also, making sure we check those stone pads, truck pads, making sure that those are beefing up so we don't track debris onto the roadways as we're going through the thaw and freezing cycle of December. Any other questions on environment, contact your supervisor, and we have a lot of resources available to us on that front. So some quick safety news, 7 days without a recordable injury. Good job this week. Again, when it comes to health and safety, having a plan in place is priority one. So start that day off with a good JHA. Communicate what the plan of action is for the day and the hazards that you are anticipating, and set up proper controls to eliminate those potential hazards. With that said, we got Amy with PT360 to join us today to talk a little bit about kind of aches and pains and other injury or illnesses that people might be kind of battling or going through, and how to kind of control that and mitigate it moving forward. So with that said, Amy, I'm going to pass it over to you for the rest of the presentation this morning.
Good morning. Let me share my screen here. All right, here we go. So this morning we're going to talk about restoration. As we change seasons, we have a change in our duties at work. This is a really good time to start thinking about changing your habits as far as exercise goes. So many of you probably feel it already. As it gets colder, we all seem to complain about our injuries a little bit more. I'm not sure why the cold, dry weather tends to bother the arthritis and some of the chronic injuries, but a lot of people feel them more. They wake up a little bit achier. It's harder to move their hands or their shoulders in the morning. So this is a good time to maybe start giving attention to some of those injuries. Winter also brings us a bit of a change in activity level. So we have some change in duties at home. We start maybe shoveling more. We have these long, stressful, snowy commutes where our shoulders are up to here. We start cutting and hauling wood more. And then you also have the change in duties at work, especially in your field, where a lot of people might be changing to a snow plowing role. You're doing some more sugaring, and you have some changes in your labor duties. So with all this change going on, it's a good time to create some new habits as far as your body and your health go. So if you're transitioning to a new role, let's talk about that one first. We talked about this in the spring, and the same rules kind of apply. You want to start slow. So sugaring is a great example. This is a totally different thing for a lot of people. If you are going out in the woods and hanging lines and hauling equipment, don't go and do 12 hours a day on your first day. I know it's kind of exciting, but maybe back off, do 3 or 4 hours, take a break, and then go back out and do a little bit more, but don't go all in. If you're snow plowing, so some of you might have gone from a laboring role to snow plowing or using different equipment to snow plowing, making sure that you're just taking breaks. For those that labor a lot, your body's used to a lot of activity. And if you're snow plowing, you're doing a lot more sitting. So make sure your body gets some of that activity. And in general, if you're sitting that long, even getting up out of the truck, twisting, turning, just doing 30 seconds to a minute can be really helpful. So those are just little key points as you transition into a different role throughout the winter, of how to do that a little bit more safely for your body, so you're not exacerbating old injuries or starting up new injuries. So how do we want to address our injuries? A lot of you have been through PT or chiropractic care before, and you might know where to start. You have your packet of exercises that somebody's given you. Hopefully they're in a pile at home somewhere. Pull those out. Start creating a new daily routine. If you have a little extra time in the day, it's like winter's a slow up time, so we tend to have a little more time. Maybe take this time now to create some new habits. So take those old exercises out, and just start doing them. Even 5 to 10 minutes in the morning before you go to work can be really helpful to help start managing some of these old injuries. If you've never gotten care before, is this a good time for you to start? People always get a little bit of afraid of PT or chiropractic or athletic training care. We're like, oh, if I start, it's all this huge commitment. Sometimes just a session or two can help figure out what's wrong and get you in the right direction. If you're a pretty self-directed person, we just need to figure out what the problem is, give you exercises, send you on your merry way, and get you started on something. And I always tell people, we work with you guys. We're very happy to work with you guys and girls. But if there's somebody closer to home that you'd like to see, use them as well. We're always a great resource, but I know there's a lot of other people that everybody uses in the community as well. The goal is to just get started. And then in general, what are just some basic starting points if you're thinking, I want to be a little bit more active or start addressing these injuries that I might have, or how do I stay a little bit more active in the winter? Any kind of like cardiovascular activity is excellent for your body, just to get you moving. Snowshoeing in the winter, maybe you guys and girls might be hunting at this point. You're out in the woods walking around, cross-country skiing, just doing some winter walking is all really good starting point. You don't have to start for hours. You can start for a short period of time and work your way up. Mobility and stretching. I feel like there's two different camps, particularly in your field. You've got people that are laboring and very active and working their body very hard. And you have people that are working their body differently, where they're sitting in vehicles or sitting in heavy equipment, they're sitting at a desk, and they're kind of stuck in positions for a long period of time. Both groups really still need to stretch. So even if you are laboring, your body's usually still stuck in a position for a while. You want to stretch those muscles. Big key areas are your back, your shoulders, and your hips. For both camps, all of those muscles tend to get a little bit tight and stiff, and you really want to work on moving those. Strengthening is another key area that you can start at as well. Core is always king. If your core is strong, it's really going to help everything else. It's going to help your hips and your neck and your back. So keeping some basic core exercises in, and that doesn't need to mean you're doing, 2-minute planks. It could simply be doing a bird dog or two in the morning, and just doing maybe some squats with your arms out front, just some really basic exercises. Oh, this is a short one for me. I feel like I never give short ones to you all. So this is a short one. Thank you. And I hope everyone's having a good holiday season and happy holidays.
Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
Hey, Amy, does PT 360s, are they doing kind of open yoga now as far as being back after the pandemic stuff?
That's a good question. We have not started some of the big group classes, but I will ask Lisa if she's going to start up a yoga session again. I feel like we're probably at a good point with people being vaccinated and masking that we probably could have people in a room like that and do that. So I will ask her.
Yeah, I think that was great when we had it. We only did it like once before, and then maybe that was the start of the pandemic. I can't remember, but I think that we should think about an ECI yoga program over there, like once a week or something.
I'll talk to her. Everyone loved it that did it. I think it was a really good response. So I'll bring it up to her again.
Okay, great. Thanks. Have a good holiday.
Thank you. You too.
And kids too.
Sure they will.
All right. So I'm going to take over, Matt.
Yeah, it's all you. Amy, thank you for joining us this morning.
So I'm going to pick a window right here, I believe. Okay, can you see my screen with the email?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So for announcements this week, the new one is just a look ahead on the holiday schedule, which is just 2 weeks away from now. We'll be recognizing the holiday starting on Christmas Eve, December 24th, and then a week later, the 31st. So both those days, it's an ECI holiday as well as a federal and state holiday. Offices are closed, but be aware that the day before the 23rd, on the 23rd, it's a Thursday, we'll be doing ham distribution. So we'll give more details next week on that, but that'll be Thursday morning. or Thursday throughout the day, I would assume. I'm not sure if sometimes the hams come in the evening before, sometimes they come that morning, but we'll have details then. So I want to just follow through with the previous announcements we've had. Just there's been in a couple weeks ago now, a 401k announcement, but it included a change of beneficiary form, which is important. As I said before, we need to stay updated on our own personal beneficiaries so that if something happens to us, that there's clear direction on how to distribute your 401k or other health benefit, or really the life insurance benefits, to your loved ones, so that it's not complicated for them if something happens to you. And so open enrollment, I've kept this on here, even though technically the open enrollment is closed now. But if you really want to get in, we could get you caught up. The idea of starting in November and doing it in November is that you always pay in advance for the premiums, so that way you're set up and ready to roll at the start of the year. But if you really decide this is something you got to do, then let us know and we can see what we can do. And cold weather nights, just leaving this one on here about diesel fuel treatment, the supplement in the white container. So beneficiary information, like I said, is very important. So let's see if we can get caught up and make sure we're up to date on our beneficiary. And congratulations to Sarah Wallen. She's one of 6 winners this year at the AGC Vermont Women in Construction for the award for Women in Construction. This week was the Associated General Contractors annual meeting week with all kinds of technical and different events. And this was a lunch meeting with, let's see, there's Secretary Curley, Lindsay Curley from the ACCD, I think it's called. So one of the administrative divisions of the state that have been managing a lot of the pandemic. Sarah, and then Pete Kelly. Pete is the outgoing president of AGC this year, and he's from DEW. And standing over Lindsay's head, you can't really see him very well, is Richard Wabi, who some of you have met before too. So congratulations to Sarah. Have left the link on here on the wellness program, so check it out. Winter, our weather outlook, we started to say welcome to fall, and then we changed to winter, and now we're not really sure with this weird mildish weather coming in these waves of rain. Now they're talking about rain on Saturday, a heavy rain, and then just not consistently below freezing temperatures. It looks more like the sugaring season weather here. I'm sure when winter is yet to come. So COVID policy is just another reminder that there's several towns and cities now that have instituted a mask mandate, and I just included a few here. There's Williston, where we're in, Essex, and Burlington. So we got to make sure we're following mask protocols when we're inside buildings accessible to the public. So if you go to the store, I was noticing yesterday when I drove by O'Brien's during lunchtime, and I just saw nobody going in or out without a mask. I assuming that they would want to kind of make sure that everyone's following and being compliant out of their store, but maybe they'll get it straightened out here. So for this week, we are looking at for projects, the chapel floor repair for Our Lady of Providence Assisted Living Community that's in Winooski. And we're contracted with the owner, the Our Lady of Providence VT, Inc. They're a nonprofit in Winooski, and we're repairing a sudden failure of tile flooring in the chapel. The original ceramic tile floor in this 1960s era building had suddenly buckled earlier this summer, and several consulting engineers, contractors, and even some UVM engineering professors were called in to make an opinion and recommend a repair. No one had really wanted to touch it. No one wanted to really make serious recommendations, but they all wanted, a lot of them recommended that they call us, and we got involved. So our opinion was that this underlying slab that settled, the underlying slab under the tiling settled, and the bending of that caused the tile to break away and on the bond between the tile and the grout. There was an underlying grout. So versus a thin set, which would be more modern to do say a leveling grout, and then a thin set, it appeared that it was just maybe put in a really poor grout. And our solution was to remove the tiles, repair the damaged areas with self-leveling grout, and then we advised the owner to install a carpet rather than new tiling. Carpet will obviously handle some deflections in the slabs. So upon removal of the tiles, we noticed that the grout adhesive layer that was there was a soft, sandy grout and up to 3 inches thick. So it really came right apart, crumbled apart. And our repair program was adjusted to remove the grout down to the underlying slab and resurfacing with about 2.5 inches of ready mix concrete, which was 3/8 stone aggregate and microfibers. And the surface was treated, the original surface was treated with a C21 Sil-Pro bonding agent before our pour. And we cut joints in the slab after, for something ran out, something got cut off there for crack control, really. And there's a picture, just an internet picture of the chapel before all this problem happened. It's on East Allen Street. As part of the complex. The chapel is just a wing off the building, the assisted living building. So you can see under the pews here that there's a bit of a hump and a slight crack shown in this view. So it did lift up by 1 inch or so, or more in some places. And there you can see it's really where it's obvious where it's broken away from the underlying slab. It just, the slab kind of had some bending going on from settlement, and it just forced the tile to pop up when it debonded. You can see underneath there. And so we tore out all the tiles and the grout, moved the pews first, and then went, and of course a lot of the work was around the edges here, and took out any of the soft spots, gut it down, and then we prepped the area, divided it into 4 pours, ordered it up there, and then poured our new slab on top of the old one. You can see this is one of the quarters here after it's been stripped. And then this is the final. Looks really nice, really smooth, and we cut the joints in there for crack control. Those joints aren't curved there. That was like a panoramic view, so it distorted the joint lines, but came out really nice. And I haven't seen the carpeted outcome, but I am sure it came out really good. And they should be very happy with it. They were frustrated no one could help them, so we were happy to give them a hand. And from the photo archives, I have a picture of Mike Colby waving from the tower window on the Verizon Wireless project at the St. Mary Star of the Sea Chapel, which is in Newport. Many of you probably driven through Newport and seen the chapel. You practically drive by it. It stands right up on the hillside. It's a pretty impressive building. And we're putting in antennas for Verizon Wireless back then. So that's what I got. Matt, I'll turn it back to you. Have a safe day out there. Prepare for a little bit of rain. It's hard to go from cold to warm here these days and transition our sites, but be aware of the warm, wet, and erosion type of conditions that'll happen here for a day. And then back to cold and then warm. So mud, it sounds like mud season, doesn't it, Matt?
Yeah. And also ice season too, so
yeah, ice
treat
too,
your sites. Yeah, treat your sites, slip, trips, and falls this time of year for sure.
Yep. When it's wet and then turns cold at night, it can definitely get to be icy, so be cautious out there.
Yep. Well said. Thanks, Ken. Thanks everybody for joining us. If you watched it in a group setting, just please send me over the people that watch it with you so we can account for attendance. Let's be safe today. Have a good day.
Yep. All righty.